He spent 4 years in the Air Force, 2 years in Uruguay as an American missionary, has been a college professor of U.S. history and economics, is a published author and a leading expert on the Illuminati, conspiracies, secret societies, economics, finance, history, philosophy, and culture. Has never missed a single question on any IQ test, making him the most intelligent patriot in America. This is the Paul Drockton Show.
Good afternoon on the West Coast, good evening on the East, and it's now 12:07 Greenwich Mean Time, and you're listening to the Paul Drockton radio program. And I am your host, Paul Drockton, and my website, Dead Man Musings, where you can find a new article each and every day on a variety of topics that I know you'll find interesting, to say the least. Now, I want to make sure you have the chance to call in through the program, so let me give out the number if you'd like to talk on the air. It's 877-342-6673. It's 877-342-6673. Now, one of the things that I want to raise as an issue right now, we're going to be talking about finances and the economy and everything else like that, is what's going on. What the heck is going on, my friends? We're going to have an election here in about 7 days. And when that election is over with, then all bets are off. And what I mean by that is, look what happened over the weekend with Wiki, I call them Wiki spooks, because I don't believe for a minute that these people aren't getting their information directly from the intelligence agencies. And people say, well, Paul, why would you feel that way about WikiLeaks? Well, first of all, the goal of the powers that be, the goal of the satanic psychopaths, is to destroy all world religions, including Islam, including Christianity, and including Judaism. They want all three gone because their god is Lucifer. And this was laid out clearly by a man named Albert Pike. And you can read this. It's at 3worldwars.com. Now, Albert Pike was born on December 29, 1809 in Boston, and was the oldest of 6 children born to Benjamin and Sarah Andrew Pike. He studied at Harvard, later served as brigadier general in the Confederate Army. By the way, he was the only general that was cited by an international outrage over the way that not only he conducted his soldiers, but how he treated his prisoners. The guy was basically just without mercy. He's brutal. After the Civil War, Pike was found guilty of treason and jailed, only to be pardoned by fellow Freemason President Andrew Johnson on April 26, 1866. So that gives you an idea of what kind of influence this guy had. Now, his crimes against the North were just humongous, and yet he was able to get a pardon by President Andrew Johnson, who met with him the next day at the White House on June 20, 1867. Scottish Rite officials conferred upon Johnson the 4th to 32nd degree of Freemasonry, and he later went to Boston to dedicate a Masonic temple. Now, Pike basically commandeered the leadership of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, and he was said to be a genius. Said to be a genius. I doubt it. I don't think anybody evil is smart. That's my opinion. At various stages in his life, he was a poet, philosopher, frontiersman, soldier, humanitarian. I doubt it. And philanthropist, probably to cover up his deeds. A third-degree Mason, he was one of the founding fathers and head of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So this is the guy that helped found the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Before that, we had the York Rite. And remember, the Illuminati were trying to make inroads into the Scottish, or into Freemasonry. So what better way to do that than establish a competing system, and with Albert Pike at the head, being the Grand Commander of North American Freemasonry from 1859, and retained that position until his death in 1891. In 1869, he was also the top leader and the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. So that gives you an idea of a little bit about Albert Pike. Now, I think it's pretty interesting that when we start talking about prominent citizens in Utah, for example, the Eccles family, that they've made very significant donations to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which is literally where the Luciferian branch began and where it was started, and with Albert Pike at its head. And bottom line is, Pike was said to be a Satanist who indulged in the occult. He apparently possessed a bracelet which he used to summon Lucifer, with whom he had constant communication. He was the Grand Master of a Luciferian group known as the Order of the Palladium, or Sovereign Council of Wisdom, which had been founded in Paris in 1737. Palladism had been brought to Greece from Egypt by Pythagoras in the 5th century, and it was a cult of Satan that was introduced to the inner circle of the Masonic lodges. It was aligned with the Palladium of the Templars. In 1801, Isaac Long, a Jew, brought a statue of Baphomet, or Satan, to Charleston, South Carolina, where he helped to establish the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. Long apparently chose Charleston because it was geographically located on the 33rd parallel of latitude. So is Baghdad, by the way. And this council is considered to be the Mother Supreme Council of all Masonic lodges of the world. So anyway, after Long, Pike comes along. He changed the name of the order of the New to the New and Reformed Palladian Rite, or Reformed Palladium. The order contained 2 degrees, Adelph, or brother, and companion of Ulysses. Pike's right-hand man was Filius Walda from Switzerland, who was a former Lutheran minister, a Masonic leader, occultist, and spiritualist. Pike also worked closely with Giuseppe Mazzini of Italy, by the way, another Satanist, who was a third-degree Mason, who became the head of the Illuminati in 1834 and who founded the Mafia in 1860. Together with Mazzini, Lord Henry Palmerston of England, who was a 33rd-degree Mason, and Otto von Bismarck, also a 33rd-degree Mason, Albert and Pike intended to use the Palladian Rite to create a satanic umbrella group that would tie all Masonic groups together. Remember, we're not talking about the average Mason here, the rank and file. I've got plenty of friends that are lower-ranked Masons, but you also have to understand that within the Scottish Rite, there's 33 degrees. And then when people say they're a Master Mason, that means they've only advanced to the 3rd degree. So a lot happens between the 3rd degree and when you get to the Palladian Rite, which is the upper 3 degrees, which is the Illuminati, by the way, and the Luciferians and the Satanists that dominate. Now, Albert Pike made his mark before the war in Arkansas as a lawyer and writer, but as a Confederate brigadier general, he was, according to the Arkansas Democrat of July 31st, 1978, a complete washout, not a hero. Yet, General Albert Pike is the only Confederate general with a statue on federal property in Washington, D.C. He was honored not as a commander or even as a lawyer, but as a southern regional leader of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The statue stands on a pedestal near the foot of Capitol Hill between the Department of Labor building and the Municipal Building between 3rd and 4th Streets. On D Street, northwest. More background can be found at the Masonic Info website. And basically, when individuals tried to have this statue removed, it was interesting to watch as the leader of Freemasons, C. Fred Kleinnet, attempted to defend both Pike and the Ku Klux Klan. So the point is that the Masons, the upper level, the highest level of Freemason is still controlled by the Luciferians, by the Satanists, and Albert Pike, their founder, also organized the Ku Klux Klan and was a Luciferian and worshipped Lucifer. This is important because I'm going to explain how this all ties in to where we are today.